Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another UKPW Insider, and it is my pleasure to finally get round to one of the most requested interviews from people associated with UKPW. It is the much-loved one and only, we know him as James and Ever, but it is BB Buff Broadside.
Hi, everybody.
How are you doing?
I'm as well as anybody could be at this moment in time. You know how it goes.
Yeah. Now, how's lockdown been treating you?
I'm a few pound heavier. My hair's a few inches longer. But other than that, I'm me.
It's still Buffalicious.
That's a safe answer. Yeah, I'm still Buffalicious, I suppose.
I'm loving how the hair's going. It's like with the curtains, it's so throwback to the 90s.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if I was around in the 90s now, I'd be a new member of Boyzone, you know, Backstreet Boys, any of them. I'm rocking the curtains. Taking it back to a better time when I wasn't stuck at home.
Well, it's been a year since we last had a UKPW show, which is really hard to believe. That time has just flown by. As many people will know, for those that don't know about our last show, you walked out as the new UKPW Inter-Regional Champion.
Yeah. Does that mean I've joined Club 365? Yes.
Well, that's something management needs to sort out because you know, there's been no defences, is there? So it'll be interesting to see how management work out.
Fight somebody in the parking lot right now. Come on.
Because we had Alexander Roth as the longest reigning UKPW champion, whereas now Dale Jones is catching up, but he's not had to wrestle. So it's kind of, you know, is that really fair to really, or are we just going to kind of keep it as, you know, since COVID came into play, it'll be when we restart, it'll be back to day one of your championship reign, so to speak. Yeah, that one pans out.
I could hold it for a year and lose it in a day. That's not fair.
Absolutely. That's the downside of it, but hopefully it won't be too long until we get back. So a lot's going to be changing from what we've been hearing with UKPW. Production's going to be going up. We're going up a new level. We've got new management, women's division. What are your thoughts about our brand new women's division?
I will no longer be the sexiest person on the show. For want of a better description. No, I'm glad that the women are coming into UKPW. Give the audience something more to look forward to rather than just seeing me. And the likes, you know, Alexander Roth, Dale Jones, etc., etc. But yeah, it's nice, isn't it? It's about time. There are lots of fantastic female wrestlers in the UK, and it's about time that they got to show themselves at UKPW a little bit more.
Oh, I completely agree with you. I mean, we've only signed a small number so far, so there's still more signings to be made. But so far, it's looking like it's going to shape up to be a very, very competitive and very entertaining women's division. Obviously, the fans haven't seen it. They probably won't see it until it's ready. But we've had sneak peek of what the very first UKPW Women's Championship belt's going to look like, and have to say it looks extremely beautiful.
I think just because I want to hold it, you might see Buff Broadside wrestling in a dress. Yeah, it's very pretty. I got no other way of describing it. Very, 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 very pretty.
Well, if Santino Morella and Harvey Whippleman can get away with it, I'm sure.
That's it. But it's Buffina. That's it. Buffina. I'm there. That's it. It's sorted. Make it happen. Make it happen.
First, folks, Buffina debuting soon in UKPW. Oh dear.
I'm not having a shave though. That's not no.
No, that's not. No, it's growing. Just gonna leave it to grow.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, you're gonna go full Gandalf, the grey.
Yeah. It's not that grey. Look, I'm still keeping my colour. I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right at the minute.
So some people know you've been entertaining us with Christmas karaoke. We've had all sorts of karaoke through. From you this year, which has been extremely fantastic, and
I've got to entertain the masses somehow, haven't I? Those people on Facebook, if you go to the Buff Broadside Facebook page, you'll see the odd snippet of videos that I've been putting up. But yes, quarantine karaoke has been a thing for me for the last 8 months, I think. I've been doing it. There's around 60 songs that have been sung and put on there. Some better than others. I'm not the greatest singer in the world, but it's all for entertainment. Everybody needs to smile at this point in time, and by having this stupid fat bloke singing ridiculous songs on Facebook, I'd like to think people are finding it entertaining. If they're not, sorry.
It's very entertaining. Definitely.
But I mean, as it is, there's still a few more. There's still a few more Christmas ones to come before the big day. We'll see how they go.
It's great that even with lockdown and as tough as things have been, you still entertaining people, which is still the best thing.
Well, I was heartbroken. I was heartbroken this year to find out that I wasn't going to be in pantomime because with all the theatres shut down. So I had to find another way of entertaining. So karaoke it was.
Yeah, we know about you. You've done pantomime in the past, and that. What was the plans meant to have been for this year for panto for you? What was you supposed to be doing this year?
I think we were supposed to be doing Beauty and the Beast, which would have been absolutely amazing. Really looking forward to that. I think we had Jack and the Beanstalk lined up as well. So it would have been nice. But unfortunately, it wasn't to be. And hopefully next year we can get to some semblance of order and start getting our lives back on track, maybe.
Yeah, I think probably one of the best things to come out of this whole pandemic is probably a lot of people are not going to take the simplest of things for granted anymore. So I'm personally looking forward to seeing how the world are going to party once everything's over with. Because literally, I just just to have when you're used to just being able to go to a pub to see friends, go to a club for a night out, just going out for a meal with friends and just having friends around for company and a chat. It's just these little things taken away from us, and and it's just kind of to hug somebody without fearing that you're putting people at risk. It's absolutely ridiculous. Right, let's get into the wrestling. Your very first ever wrestling memory.
Oh, ouch!
Sorry.
Are we? Yeah. Well, that's my first memory. Ouch! We all remember our first training session. It's that first learning to fall down. It's the. I mean, I was 30 when I decided that I wanted to take wrestling up. I call it an early midlife crisis. That first training session. I remember that Monday morning when I woke up for work, and I just. You stupid old fool! Why did you bother doing that? And that was the. But here I am, 8 years later, and I'm still going. But first wrestling memories. That first training session. That hitting the mat for the first time and being shocked that it's not soft.
Mm. What was your what got you into wrestling? What was your first exposure to wrestling? Full stop. On TV or tapes or whatever it be.
The first wrestling show I ever watched was back in 1989 when I was a tender age of 5, and it was just a local USA challenge or one of these little weekly, hourly specials from WWF, and. Yeah, I remember watching Bret Hart versus the Barbarian. I mean, I've got very vague memories of ITV and the World of Sport, watching Big Daddy and Catweasel, to name a couple. But they're so vague and so far back that I don't really remember watching. I've watched lots of it now. The joy of YouTube. Get yourself on YouTube, watch some old British wrestling. It's quite entertaining. But I think, the first bits and pieces, WWF. That first little show that I watched got me hooked. There are little bits and pieces here and there. I mean, I didn't have Sky nor cable, so it was difficult for me to watch it. If we remember back in the days, 1990 around then, when WCW was on terrestrial television, and we had.
I remember. I still remember watching watching with the blue ring skirt with the black and yellow ropes, and seeing Bobby Eaton coming out as beautiful Bobby Eaton, and Z-Man Tom Zenk. And
well, I mean, if you think back really far, you can get to studying Steve Austin when he had long blonde hair. I mean,
oh, absolutely. The Dangerous Alliance. I used to love the Dangerous Alliance.
That was it. Yeah. See, again, Paul Heyman with hair, a rarity.
Well, one of the funny things I found about Paul Heyman back then was, and it wasn't actually until because I thought, oh, it was quite silly. He mentioned it in an interview he did. I think it might have been in the Rise and Fall of WCW documentary. He was talking, because I looked at him back then and I thought, you know, he looks a little bit like Michael Keaton, and then he actually brought it up in the interview that a lot of people that he worked around said he had a likeness to Michael Keaton. So I didn't feel as stupid about making that comparison, since Heyman said it himself. So, but those were the days. They were fantastic. WCW was great back then as well.
It was, yeah. Well, we had the joys of watching Sting and Vader almost every week.
Yeah. Come and get it thrown in Abdullah the Butcher.
Oh dear. Yeah. I did used to enjoy those days. I did used to enjoy watching that on a Sunday afternoon on I think that was on ITV. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. They used to have it on about, I think it was just gone midnight. That sometimes they used to have it on like a Saturday. It was at 3 o'clock in the morning or something, because that's when they used to have that thing on ITV where they would show you the ads, and they'd be like, now it's time for nighttime on ITV, and it was just that segment with a couple of shows and then WCW, and then that was it until 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. So
who is Buff's all-time hero, wrestling hero?
Oh, that's not fair. Honestly, I can't pick one. I've got lots of people that I follow in.
The top five.
A top five. I've got to take you back. That's the easiest top five to name. It was Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man Randy Savage, Big Boss Man, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
That's a good top five.
That was my top five growing up. Regardless of what I was watching, they were the guys that always shouting for during my childhood when I was like
knee high
down there. Yeah.
When I'm going to say, as someone who's a Hogan fan, repping today, got a bit of Hollywood. Speaking of Hollywood, what was your reaction as a Hulkamaniac to Hogan's heel turn at Bash at the Beach? I mean,
see, now this is. I wasn't watching WCW then.
Oh, right.
So I had no idea it happened. The first time I realised that Hulk Hogan was a bad guy was watching a Muppet movie.
Oh, okay.
The first time I ever found out, I was watching a Muppet. He goes, "What? I'm a bad guy now," and I just kind of went, "Oh, are you?" On the internet. But yeah, no, I wasn't watching WCW when Hogan made the turn. So never saw it at the time. It was very late to the party.
I struggled to deal with it at first, because he was the guy, the big star, the big name, and even though he had jumped to WCW, it was kind of, if we'd had the internet as it was now and back then, I mean, it would probably be bigger than Taker's losing at Mania 30 to Brock Lesnar. It was absolutely huge. No, I never thought it was ever going to happen, to be honest. But I actually quite liked it. I kind of, you actually got to see a more cool side to Hogan. That's what I thought, like the more arrogant side of him.
It definitely changed the business. I mean, now you go back, you watch all the documentaries on the NWO, and you see just how much it changed wrestling. I mean, it was part and parcel of the Monday Night Wars. I mean, that was the thing, wasn't it? It was, But yeah, I mean, if I'm 100% honest, I wasn't watching wrestling at all during the Monday Night Wars. I missed all of the NWO. I missed the Attitude Era. I just wasn't watching it. I completely missed it all.
Wow. How long after you started training did you have your first match?
I mean, what you want? Match? I mean, I did battle royals and things like that, and
which a lot of guys have said they always start off with the battle royals.
Yeah, battle royals and rumbles, and big tag team matches, because you sort of get
singles match. Your first proper singles match on a show.
My first singles match. I'd probably been training for about 8 months before I had my first singles match. And do you know what? It was actually against somebody that I ended up tag teaming with, a fella named Les Vegas.
Wow.
It was probably one of my first ever singles matches that I can remember. At a show, Les Vegas. We ended up having a dance off, which
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, he won't mind me saying this. I won. Which is just wrong when I think about it. I am such a dad dancer. It was even ridiculous that I even won it back then. But yeah, one of my first ever singles matches was actually against Les Vegas, who I teamed with for 5 years.
Yeah, one of the next things I brought up, because you had your knee injury, which forced you to retire.
It did. It was the doctors were not confident.
Yeah, your last match before you retired was winning the UKPW tag title.
Our first ever UKPW tag titles, our 4th tag titles overall. Les Vegas has been a good friend to me. He was a mentor, been wrestling a lot longer than me, so he took me under his wing. He taught me some dance steps. I could still never quite get the worm. I hit the floor and never managed to get the second. But I wrestled with Vegas for about 5 years. But I mean, with the knee injury, I tore my meniscus in my right knee, and the doctors were not confident that I would be able to do any kind of sport after the operation. But I had keyhole, I had the rip removed. The knee's still not 100%, but until it tells me it's time, I'm going to carry on doing what I love.
Good. That's good news. Because it was, as I said, you won the tag titles with Les Vegas, and then that was it. You was done. You came in, you took over the role as the sheriff, Buff Broadside for a brief period of time. Yeah. So because you had, you had the gear on. You had the gear on. You had the hat. You went full sheriff on us.
I did, yeah. Well, this was the whole thing. In truth, when UKPW came to me and said, we'd like you to become our general manager figure, and I went, okay. And straight away I went, can I be a sheriff? And it was just that little dream. When we're kids, we all dream of being wrestlers and all this kind of thing. But did anybody ever dream of being a cowboy? I did. So if I had to be a governor, I was going to be a sheriff, and that was the Cuban heel cowboy boots, the tasseled suede jacket, the Stetson. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which I have a photo of you as Sheriff Buff Broadside on display in my home, because you're with one of your sons and you're with my son, who both absolutely loved the sheriff character. I still remember my son doing a little merchandise plug for you on
yes.
I remember that. When did you come to the decision that I can come back? I'm definitely coming back. Because you worked out in the gym. We saw a lot of you coverage of you working out in the gym. You was dropping some weight. You was getting yourself in great shape again. Because when you came back, I noticed, and I think I may have mentioned this to commentary, I'd never seen you move so fast. For some guy who literally tore his meniscus to come back and be in the shape you was really, really impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I had a 2-year break from in-ring competition at UKPW. I did join the gym. I shifted about 40 pound in weight while I was working out, built up some muscle, built up a bit of fitness, which was something that I was greatly lacking even before the knee injury. And having talked to like the UKPW management and whatnot, we decided that it was time that I got off of the saddle of the sheriff and got back in the ring. And I mean, I appreciate the comments that I was moving faster. Just constant worry that the knee's going to go out again all the time, as anybody that comes back from an injury. But I'd like to think that my comeback has been worthwhile, at least up to this point.
Buff Broadside suicide diving through ropes in matches it's a sight to behold. And you know that the only time I've ever come close to almost soiling myself at commentary is seeing this guy with tassels just come flying towards where me and Ross are. You land on Ross. I've not got a problem with that. That's absolutely fine. I'd take some money your way if that was the case. But
yeah, I mean, let's make one thing clear. These suicide dives, although I've lost 40 pounds, I'm still a 280 pound man. Not sensible, but fun nonetheless.
At the end of the day, it's more punishment on your opponent. So, it's all worth it in the end, I suppose.
Of course. I mean, the incident you're talking about, diving towards commentary, that was the last show where I won the Inter-Regional Championship, 365. A 40-year-old man should not be doing these things. Really.
Well, you're not just an average 40-year-old man. I like you. Let's face it. I don't know if you've kept up with some of the UKPW Insider interviews. Two interesting things which relate to you. Number one, CJ Gunner spoke very highly of you, and rightly so, talking about your time as heavy artillery. He's spoken about maybe a reunion. He's also spoken about Inter-Regional Championship, which you're a current holder. So that could be an interesting development to see former partners having a bit of friendly championship competition if management were to make it happen.
Like a friendly competition as you punch each other in the face. Yeah, of course. When we're back, I'll take on all comers. If he sticks me in the ring with King Kong, I'll fight him. I just can't wait to get back and actually wrestle in front of an audience again. For all these people that are watching at home, I miss you so much. But yeah, no, CJ and heavy artillery. I mean, did CJ admit that when we start up and tag again, we're going to be called Heavy? Because CJ started to catch me up a bit.
No, I don't think. I don't think he did.
Oh, poor CJ. CJ is one of my favourite people in wrestling because he's always got a nice word to say about everybody, regardless of how much of a you are. CJ, I always find the good in you, and it's an interesting trait for a man from Luton.
Very much so. Okay, the other person, and this guy called you out in his interview.
Of course he did.
What he's claiming is still his Inter-Regional Championship. Garfentos actually laid down a challenge in his interview to you. He called you out. What do you have to say? Obviously, you've said your take on all comers, so it's no surprising that you don't care if Fentos happens to be first in line, second in line, or whatever it happens to be.
I did just say that if they put me in the ring against King Kong, I'll fight him. I mean, Fentos is only about 3 inches behind King Kong, so I'd quite happily take on Fentos one-on-one. I seem to remember that my first match back at UKPW was against Fentos one-on-one, and I seem to remember winning that one.
You did.
And then on the same night, we ended up in a 6-man tag match, and Fentos was on the opposing team. And I do believe we won that one. Then Then a wild card, Fentos was on the opposing team for that as well. And I do believe I won that one. And then Fentos was also in that 4-man scramble match for the Inter-Regional Championship, wasn't he?
He was.
And I do believe I won that one.
You won that one.
I see a pattern here. So as long as he's not taking me on in a maths quiz, we're good. Quite happily face him.
Oh, God. I'm never going to hear the end of that one. I'm not going to hear the end of that one. So, obviously, when we get back to it, you know, you've missed everyone. Everyone's missed you. I mean, it's always, I've always said UKPW is like another family. And some people, especially during this during normal times, they use their, whether it be competing or being a part of the show. For myself, it's a very welcome distraction to be able to go and work the shows from, you know, anything else that goes on in life. And to have that removed for this past year and for the foreseeable future is very, very tough. Apart from obviously defending the UKPW Inter-Regional Championship when you get back, what is the long-term goal for Buff Broadside? Do you have any other achievements you want? Are you part of you thinking about maybe going for the main prize at some point before retirement sets in, or maybe go for the tag titles again, or are you just quite happy to just go with whatever comes your way?
The thing that you say about you don't become a wrestler to be happy in the middle. You always want to be fighting for the top spot. Everybody wants to be the guy. To be the man, you've got to beat the man. And of course, I'd love to become Crowning Glory champion. I'd love to win the Rampage match. Of course, I'd love to hold the UKPW title. What UKPW wrestler wouldn't want to win all those things, you know? And of course, I mean, when we come back, I will do everything in Buff Broadside's power to do exactly that. I'm not planning on giving up anytime soon. So, yeah, reach for the stars.
Who's if you could pick anyone in UKPW that you've not faced one-on-one, that you would like to, or you ever thought, you know, I wouldn't mind mixing up with you, who would it be? Is there anyone you've not faced one-on-one that you would actually thinking about it, would really love to face?
Well, nobody wants to get beaten up by anybody. Do you know what I mean? But I mean, there are definitely people out in this world that that have wrestled at UKPW that would be a fantastic dream match. Really, I mean, I tagged together with James Mason. I was a tag team champion with James Mason. How great would it be to step in the ring and have some friendly competition between tag partners? Little dream come true. I was 16 years old watching James Mason wrestle at the Fairfield Halls in Croydon. You know, that's a little yay moment. Johnny Storm, constant reminder that he's one of the most known wrestlers in the UK. I'd quite happily step in the ring.
The guy just doesn't age.
No, I can't believe he still looks exactly the same as he did 12 years ago. But yeah, you know, we all want to face these people. UKPW's got a plethora of fantastic wrestlers, and I'd be quite happy to step in the ring with any of them really. I've dreamed. I mean, I still owe him a slap. I love him to bits, but yeah, I'd love to step in the ring with Gabe Myers.
Never ceases to amaze me. Gabe's name comes up every time.
Yeah,
it's always Gabe and Anton. Their names always come up, no matter what. Their names always come up in every interview.
I mean, there a few years ago, myself and Gabe. It was a different time then. We were running down this little road where we kept meeting each other, but we never had that one-on-one. You know, and that would have been amazing. and it still would be. And yeah, I'd quite happily tangle with anybody at UKPW, really. I'd step in the ring with any of them. To say that I could wrestle one, even two or three of them, it is unfair on the rest. Yeah, I'd step in the ring and take on anybody.
Anybody. If management said to you, we want you to select one person in British wrestling on the Indies to sign, who would your pick be?
Buff Broadside. That's a question. Again, there are so many wrestlers out there. I mean, you can always have a word like Pete Dunne. Oh, yeah, wouldn't that be great? But no, realistically, there's too many to choose from.
Yeah,
there are so many good wrestlers out there that haven't been discovered, that haven't been given their break, and you know, they're clawing, they're fighting, and eventually they're going to get there. And yeah, there is so many to choose from. I can't.
It's interesting you say that about there's so many undiscovered talent out there that are starting out, they're clawing their way, waiting for an opportunity, looking for their opportunities. And that, you know, I'd quite happily say, you know, come to UKPW. You know, learn your trade, because you're surrounded by guys like yourself. You got, like, as we said, like Anton. You got Steve Manelli. There's so many guys out there that have been doing it for a while, whether it be, you know, 5 years, 10 years, even longer, that they could learn a hell of a lot from, not just in the ring, but outside the rings, and how to carry themselves. Mm-hmm. You know, I think, well, obviously UKPW management might be watching. Maybe that's something we could look at in the future for a show. Maybe we could have a sort of like a rookie match where we get two relative unknowns that are starting out, give them a match in front of the live crowd, maybe before the show officially starts, you know, give them an opportunity maybe, and, you know, it gives them exposure, and that maybe that's something which management might consider. I don't know. You know, it's not really my place to create things like, but you know, so with we know there's a debate at the moment whether or not the Inter-Regional Championship is actually going to remain the Inter-Regional Championship when we start up again. Are you an advocate for keeping it as it is, or are you more than welcome to welcome change, providing that the title, the rebranding of the title, still sort of, you know, it fits perfectly with what with the direction?
Change is part of the evolution of wrestling, isn't it? If there was no evolution in wrestling, we'd still be watching hold for hold wrestling as we did back in days of yonder. But no, everybody welcomes change. If you were to say to me, we're going back to UKPW, the Inter-Regional Championship as being, and we're bringing in something else, yeah, more than happy to let them do it. I'm not going to say no. I like being employed by them. Yeah, change is part of the evolution of wrestling, and without change, everything becomes stale a little bit, really, doesn't it? So yeah, I mean, to say I'm an advocate for change, no, not really, but I welcome it.
I suppose in some ways as well, it's kind of a double-headed coin in some ways, because it's, if they do rebrand the title in the history books, technically you will be the inaugural holder of whatever it becomes.
Oh, shucks! There's nothing like being the last person to hold a title. Do you know what I mean?
There is something special about that.
You get remembered, but no, it's, you know, it would be. I'd welcome any further challenge, any changes that UKPW could make. I'm assuming are going to be positive. As you say, we've been getting the sneak peeks of what UKPW are doing behind the scenes, and UKPW audience. Wow.
Very much so. Very, very much so. And, you know, we've always been grateful for Anton for making UKPW what it has been You know, now that it's ready for that next step up. And I just find that the fact that, and this is just my personal opinion, the fact that companies such as IPW are no longer around, to have UKPW kind of get ready, gearing up to take that next step in terms of production and that as well. You know, the fans, because as Alex had said in the first part of his interview we did, he said he wants to make our shows more of an experience for the fans, as opposed to just turning up for a few hours, watching the wrestling and go home and that's it. It's about having an experience, and that's something which, you know, is different. And I'm excited for the fans to see what we're going to come up with, and we don't even know everything yet.
Indoor fireworks, pyrotechnics. No. Health and safety won't allow it in the halls that we're looking at. But no, it's going to be an experience regardless, and not just for the people in the audience. I think the wrestlers are really going to appreciate it as well. I mean, there's, you know, the bigger it is for the audience, the bigger it is for us. You know, it's wrestlers go out there to entertain, and if they go out there pumped because sparks are going off and music's going, flashing lights, and you know, all these sorts of things that you can get, the experience for you as a wrestler triples as well, and it makes you want to do that little bit more. Yeah. Maybe you'll see me finally come off of the top rope, but who knows?
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Do not hold your breath.
Well, as long as you're going to be flying in the ring and not out of the ring towards commentary, because from what I'm hearing, the commentary desk might be repositioned even closer to the ring. That's just something I've heard from the guy. I just be mindful, just in case, because I've already had Dale Jones go through a table, literally that's sat in front of me.
I was on commentary for that one. I was sitting next to you, so yeah.
That was it. Save the camera. That was
the camera. Yeah, I didn't care about Dale. Save the camera.
Before we go, one last message for the UKPW fans.
One last message. God, yeah, it's going to be a long one. How long we got? 38 minutes so far.
As long as you need. It's your time.
22 minutes. Let's take it to an hour. All I can say to the UKPW audience is I can't wait to come back. I'm sure all the other UKPW wrestlers can't wait to come back. It's going to be experience. It's going to be amazing. And it's going to be buffelicious. Sorry. I can't stress just how much this year has sucked. Not being able to wrestle for you guys. You are one of my favourite audiences to wrestle in front of. And fingers crossed that we don't have to wait much longer for that. Yeah. I think that about says it all.
And finally, you also run a charity wrestling promotion.
I do. LWF, that's Live Wrestling Fundraising.
Yeah, give a little. Tell us a little bit about that, so for people that don't know, so they can keep an eye out for that in the future.
Yeah, well, you can find the Facebook page as Live Wrestling Fundraising. We do small shows for scout halls, raising money for local scout groups so that they can keep their halls. A few of the UKPW audience have actually come to that. I've done, again, UKPW fans. I run a show for Dravet Syndrome UK, which one of the UKPW fans unfortunately suffers from. And they were well backed. I think in the shows that I've done over that small 2-year period, I think we've raised about £3,000 for various charities and things like that. So, yeah, I mean, all the wrestlers that do my shows, quite a lot of the UKPW stars come along. They donate their time to put on the best show they can for the audiences, and hopefully you guys give up your hard-earned money for us to give to good causes. So yeah.
You did a show for My Shining Star Children's Cancer Charity a little while back.
I did.
friend of mine runs the charity, and I heard great things about how that went. She was very, very happy. Speaking of LWF, so to speak, I've seen from some of the footage and the photos of you and James Earls are not quite Buff Broadside, and James Earls, I've seen you kind of almost imitating two very well.
Oh dear! So what you're talking about is our tag team called Tribute. Is that what you're talking about? That is, for want of a better description, that is two old men having fun wrestling. Yes, we are not the greatest tag team in the world. We are just a tribute.
Tribute. Very nicely.
That is on our t-shirt somewhere. Yeah, it is. It's two old men having fun and honestly just putting on a show for the audiences. We have been the Heart Foundation. We have been the Mega Maniacs. I do a really good Hulk Hogan impression. Yeah, I mean, you never know. One day you may see the Legion of Tribute, but who knows? These things will happen, and yeah, we do it for fun. Who knows? It might even turn up at a UKPW show. Be a
nice surprise.
But yeah, it's just I can't describe it any other way than it's two old men having fun,
and that's what it's about.
Exactly.
Is fun. Absolutely. Oh, it's been brilliant. Well, it's been fantastic talking to you. I know there's going to be some people that are going to be like, oh, finally, we got Buffs over the line. So they've been waiting for this. They've been on at me about getting Buff up there. Coming soon, we have Hitman Gabe Myers. We've got that coming up on UKPW Insider shortly. And in the new year, a very, very, very special interview with the former owner of UKPW, Mr. Cleek, Anton Green. Your reaction says, oh, I've managed to get them because the mouthpiece, forget Ross Briffett, he does his thing. The mouthpiece is where it's at. I'm the one who brings the creme de la creme of the UKPW to Insider. So, Buff Broadside, have a very Merry Christmas, my friend. Sending you all the best. Hope 2021 is a brilliant year for the two of us, considering how poor this year's been.
Yep.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we wish you well. And we'll catch you on the next Insider. So until then, ladies and gentlemen, stay safe and have a Merry, Merry Christmas.